Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today by asking you to do something.
Okay.
It sounds simple, but it is actually, I think, incredibly difficult for a modern brain to pull off.
I'm intrigued.
I want you to try and unlearn physics, just for the next hour or so.
Unlearn physics.
Yeah.
That's a big ask.
Just forget about atoms, forget about gravity, forget about atmospheric pressure systems.
We're just so wired to categorize I mean, we have a box for living things,
What?
cats and bacteria, and then we have a box for dead things.
Yes, T.
Rocks and, I don't know, toaster ovens.
But I want you to imagine a world where those boxes they don't exist. Imagine you're walking through a forest, and a rock isn't just a lump of granite. It has a personality. Maybe it's in a bad mood today because, I don't know, you kicked it yesterday.
Right.
Imagine looking up at a storm cloud and not seeing water vapor, but a giant celestial cow that is floating through the sky and desperately needs to be milked.
And if you have a run of bad luck, let's say you trip and sprain your ankle, you don't just blame physics or, your own clumsiness.
No.
You literally drag a god into court and argue with them until they apologize for tripping you.
It sounds like a chaotic, almost a hallucinogenic world to live in, like being trapped inside a surrealist painting.
Yes.
But as we're going to find out today, for the vast majority of human history, this wasn't chaos.
Not critical.
It was a highly structured, logical, and a very specific way of viewing reality.
It was the operating system of humanity for tens of thousands of years.
So today we are doing a deep dive into primal beliefs. We are looking at a massive stack of research covering indigenous traditions from the Arctic Circle to the Australian outback.
All the way to the Amazon rainforest, the islands of Japan. It's a huge scope.
It really is.
And before we go any further, I think we really have to stop and address that word in the title.
Primal.
Primal.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like that word carries a lot of baggage. Usually when people hear primal or primitive, the immediate association is
Simple.
simple. Yeah.
Yeah,
You picture a caveman hitting a rock with a stick. Ugh, no understand thunder.
exactly. And that is the first major misconception we need to completely, dismantle right now.
Okay.
In the context of religious history and anthropology, primal does not mean simple, and it certainly doesn't mean unsophisticated or stupid.
Right.
It refers to priority. These are the first religions. These are the foundational systems of belief that emerged from prehistory, from hunter-gatherer societies.
So we aren't looking at a dumbed-down version of religion. We're looking at the source code.
That is a perfect analogy. We're looking at the root code.
Okay.
Later religions, Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, they are, in a way, like software updates or maybe different operating systems built on top of this fundamental hardware.
I see.
But primal belief is the hardware. It's how early humans made sense of a dangerous, unpredictable world using tools like animism, shamanism, and, of course, myth.
And one thing that really jumped out at me immediately in the reading is just how universal this is. It really doesn't matter if you're in a cave in Paleolithic Europe 30,000 years ago.
Like a tribe in the Amazon right now.
Right. This drive to explain the unexplainable is everywhere.
It is the fundamental human trait. The sources we looked at discuss how religion served this kind of dual purpose. On one hand, it was the science of the day. You need to know why the sun comes up, why people die,
Yeah.
or why the seasons change. You can't just shrug and say, I don't know.
You need a working theory.
You need a working theory. Exactly.
And on the other hand, it was a kind of social glue.
The social glue, yeah,
If we all agree on the ritual, we don't kill each other.
essentially. But there is a key insight in the introduction of our source material that I think frames this whole discussion perfectly. It talks about the twilight zone.
This was the connection between religion
Yeah.
and dreaming, right? I found this absolutely fascinating.
Yes. Think about the experience of a primal human. You don't have electric lights. You don't have, a phone to scroll on. You go to sleep.
Right.
In your dream, you see your grandfather who died 5 years ago. He looks healthy. He talks to you. Maybe he gives you advice.
Okay.
Then you dream you're flying over a mountain. Or you transform into a wolf and hunt a deer.
Now, when I wake up from a dream like that, I say, wow, weird dream, and I go make some coffee. I know it's just neurons firing in my brain.
But you only know that because you have a modern education in neurology.
Right.
If you are a primal human, you have no concept of neurons. To you, that experience was just as visceral, just as real as walking to the river to get water. You saw him. You flew.
So the conclusion isn't my brain is tricking me. The conclusion is there is another place where these things happen.
Precisely. To the primal mind, The dream world isn't fake. It is just another location, a spirit world that exists right alongside the physical one. And the veil between those two worlds,
It's thin.
it is incredibly thin, permeable.
That is the thread we are going to pull on today, that permeable veil. We are going to travel around the world, Japan, Africa, the Arctic, Australia, to see how different cultures navigated that boundary.
Sounds good.
And we are going to start with a concept that I think is the most fun, but also, honestly, the hardest for us moderns to really wrap our heads around.
Animism.
Animism.
Animism is the baseline. If you strip away everything else, this is where human spirituality starts.
So define it for us. What is the core mechanism of animism?
Well, put simply, it is the belief that the world is alive.
The whole world.
The whole thing. It's the belief that animals, plants, objects, and even forces of nature like the wind or thunder possess a spirit or a soul, just like humans do.
Right.
In this worldview, humans are not separate from nature. We aren't the main characters standing on a stage of dead props.
We're just part of the cast.
We're just one part of a very, very crowded spiritual ecosystem.
And the source material highlights the Ainu people of Japan as, like, the perfect case study for this.
Absolutely.
Now, I know a little bit about the Ainu. They are the indigenous people of Hokkaido, the northern island of Japan, and parts of Russia.
Yes, culturally distinct from the ethnic Japanese majority.
Right. But I didn't realize just how deep their animism went.
It defines every single aspect of their existence. They have this concept called kamu.
Kamu.
It translates to God or spirit, but it's applied to almost everything. You see, the Ainu view the physical world, bodies, trees, pots, tools, as containers.
Containers. Like a Tupperware for a soul.
Chuckles.
Okay.
A little more elegant than that, but yes, a vessel.
Okay.
Whether it's your human body, a bear's body, or the shape of a clay pot, that is just the shell. Inside, there is a kamui.
So even a man-made object like a tool or a saucepan has a soul.
Yes. And because these spirits are literally everywhere, you have to navigate your life with extreme diplomatic caution.
Right.
You are constantly walking through a room full of invisible VIPs. You can't just throw a tool on the ground. You might offend its spirit.
This brings us to what I think is the most entertaining and honestly the most empowering part of the Ainu belief system.
Ah, yes.
The litigation.
The gods you can argue with.
Yeah. In most major modern religions, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, the dynamic is pretty clear. God is up there. He is omnipotent. He is perfect.
Untouchable.
Untouchable. You are down here. You are flawed. You pray. You hope it works. And if it doesn't, the answer is usually, well, God works in mysterious ways, or it's a test.
Right. It's a very strict hierarchy. You don't get to audit God.
But the Ainu, they seem to view it more like a business contract.
That is a surprisingly accurate way to put it. It is reciprocal.
Mm.
Humans pray to the kamui and give them offerings.
What kind of offerings?
Usually sake, dried salmon, or these beautifully carved willow sticks called inawa. In return, the kamui are expected to hold up their end of the bargain.
Which is?
Provide good luck, protection against disease, or game to hunt. The basics of survival.
But what happens when the god breaches the contract? What if I give the sake, I do the dance, and I still break my leg?
Then the human has the right to complain. And I don't mean just, grumbling under your breath. I mean a formal grievance.
I just love the image of this. You're standing in a forest, screaming at a tree spirit. I gave you the good sake, the expensive stuff, and this is how you repay me.
They believe you can shame the gods into doing better.
Wow.
They will say, look, I did the ritual perfectly. You are being unreasonable. And if a god is being particularly stubborn, the Ainu can actually appeal to a higher court.
Higher court. Who is the judge in this divine legal system?
The fire goddess, Fuji.
Ah.
She is the guardian of the hearth, so she's present in every home. She acts as a mediator. You can ask her to drag the offending god into a discussion and make them apologize to you.
That feels so psychological. It makes the spiritual world feel like a community you live in rather than a dictatorship you live under. It gives the human agency.
Agency is the key word.
Yeah.
In a world that feels random and dangerous, having the ability to sue the gods gives you a sense of control.
Excellent.
But nowhere is this agency and this intense, complex relationship more visible than in the bear ritual, the Iomante.
This was the part of the research that was the hardest to read. It's heavy, and it's so paradoxical.
It is the central mystery of their faith. It really is.
So walk us through it, because on the surface, to a modern listener, it looks incredibly cruel.
So the Ainu would capture a bear cub alive, They would bring it back to the village. And they wouldn't put it in a cage or treat it like livestock. They would treat it like a visiting prince.
Okay.
In some cases, historically, if the cub was very young, nursing women in the village would even breastfeed it alongside their own children.
Wow, so it literally becomes part of the family.
It becomes a member of the family. They raise it with love, care, and the best food for a year or two. And then, when it comes of age,
They kill it.
they perform the Iomanti. They ritually kill the bear.
See, that's the disconnect. How do you go from this is our child to we are going to sacrifice it? It feels like such a betrayal.
You have to look at it through the lens of Kamu. It's the only way it makes sense.
Okay.
To the Ainu, that bear isn't a bear. It is a god, specifically Kumun Kamui, the god of the mountains.
Okay, so the god is visiting. He's on vacation.
Exactly. The Ainu believe the god puts on a bear suit, the fur, and the meat to come down to the human world.
Why?
Because the god wants to visit humans, interact with them, and most importantly, receive gifts that they can't get in the spirit world.
The sake, the salmon, the prayer sticks.
All of it. Things only humans can make.
So the bear's body is just a suitcase for the god.
A suitcase and a disguise. So, by killing the bear, the Ainu aren't killing the god, they are sending the spirit home. That's what Iomanti means, spirit sending.
I see.
They're unzipping the bear suit so the god can fly back to the spirit world.
And the logic is that he goes back laden with all the gifts they gave him.
Yes, he goes back to the other gods and says, hey, look at how well those humans treated me. Look at this steak. Look at this salmon. It was a great vacation. And the idea is that the other gods will get jealous and want to visit the earth as bears too.
So it's a cycle. You kill the bear to honor it, which ensures more bears come in the future.
Precisely. If you didn't perform the ritual, or even worse, if you treated the bear badly while it was alive, the god would be offended.
And he'd tell his friends.
He would go back and tell everyone, don't go down there, the service is terrible, the humans are mean, and the village would starve because no game would appear.
It's fascinating. It reframes hunting not as taking from nature, but as hosting nature. You are the hotel manager for the gods.
That's a great way of putting it. And that applies to language, too. There was one other detail about the Ainu that I found so profound. The power of words.
Yeah, the idea that gods can't speak.
Right. In their cosmology, gods and inanimate objects have spirits, but they don't have the faculty of speech. Words are a uniquely human tool.
So we have leverage.
We have this unique leverage. We could use words to bargain, to praise, and to entertain.
So when the Ainu sing their epic songs, the Yukar,
They aren't just singing for themselves. They're singing to entertain the gods, because the gods love to hear humans using this magic that they don't possess.
it balances the scales.
It balances the scales. The gods have power, humans have poetry.
I love that. The gods have power, humans have poetry. It makes our species feel essential to the cosmos, not just, accidental.
It does. Now, if we want to see another group that lives right on the knife edge of this spirit world, we need to travel.
Okay, where to?
We are leaving the snowy forests of Japan and heading to the arid deserts of southern Africa. We're talking about the San Bushmen.
The San are fascinating because their lineage goes back so far. We are talking about prehistoric roots here.
Indeed. The Zamsan that / at the beginning represents a click sound in their language.
Right.
They offer us a window into some of the oldest religious ideas on Earth, and again, it comes back to that twilight zone between worlds.
The San view the universe as layered, right.
Yes. There is a world above, a middle world, which is where we live, and a world below. But the key is that these worlds aren't sealed off. You can commute between them.
And the vehicle is trance.
Specifically through trance.
This connects to rock art. I mean, we've all seen pictures of cave paintings, dots, grids, zigzag stick figures. I always just thought, oh, maybe they were just doodling patterns.
Or counting something.
Or counting something, yeah. But the source material says it's actually neurology.
It is what anthropologists call entoptic phenomena.
Yeah.
Even today, if you close your eyes and press on your eyelids, you see patterns.
Yeah. You see stars, checkerboards, flashes of light.
Okay, now imagine inducing a deep trance state through exhaustive dancing, fasting, hyperventilation, or intense rhythm. The human brain, when it is under that kind of stress, begins to misfire in very specific ways. The optic nerve generates geometric hallucinations. Grids, dots, zigzags. It's hardwired into our biology.
So when they painted these grids on the cave walls,
They weren't drawing what they saw in the physical world. They were drawing what they saw in their minds as they approached the spirit world. To the San, those patterns were the veil.
The veil.
Yes, when a shaman danced into a trance and saw those grids, that was the curtain of the spirit world opening. They would paint those patterns on the rock face because the rock face was the membrane.
That gives me chills. The cave wall isn't a canvas, it's a portal.
It is. They believed the spirit world was right behind the rock, and the entities they met on the other side were just as complex as the Ainu gods. Let's talk about Kagan,
Kagan, the mantis.
the mantis. He is a creator god, but he is not a solemn, bearded man on a cloud giving commandments.
No.
He's a trickster.
I've always found trickster gods like Loki in Norse mythology or Coyote in Native American stories so much more relatable than the perfect gods.
Because they reflect the messiness of life.
Exactly.
Kagan created the world, but he's also foolish, mischievous, and sometimes weak. There is a famous story mentioned in the text where Kagan gets beaten up by a family of meerkats.
Laughing. Wait, the creator of the universe gets beat up by meerkats.
Yes, he tries to steal from them or trick them, and they mob him. It's a wonderful narrative choice, isn't it?
It is.
It highlights that in the Sand worldview, the gods aren't these omnipotent overlords. They are characters in the drama of life. Just like the animals and the humans, they are fallible. They can be embarrassed.
And speaking of animals, the way the sand explained the weather is it's terrifyingly poetic. We mentioned the rain cow in the intro.
Yes. This is a prime example of what we'd call elemental personification. To the sand living in a desert environment, rain is everything. But rain can also be destructive.
Right. Flash floods, lightning. It's not all gentle showers.
So they categorized it by gender. A thunderstorm, aggressive, thundering, dangerous, was a rain bull.
Okay.
But a gentle, soaking, life-giving rain was a rain cow.
And the ritual to bring rain involves actually capturing this beast.
In the spirit world, yes. The shamans would enter a trance, travel to the spirit realm, and try to lasso a rain cow. They would then lead it across the sky to the place that needed water and kill it.
Kill it.
The rain falling was the milk and blood of the spirit animal.
It changes how you look at a storm. It's not just condensation, it's a sacrifice happening in the sky. It feels so violent, but also so vital.
And that connection between life, death, and the cosmos permeates their whole belief system. There's a beautiful quote in the source about death that I think is one of the most stunning lines in all of anthropology.
The star feels that our heart falls over.
Yes, the star feels that our heart falls over. The belief is that when a person dies, their heart becomes a star. Or rather, the star associated with them falls. It links the tiny, beating human heart to the vastness of the galaxy.
And then there's the wind. The sources mention something about footprints.
Right. When a person dies, the wind inside them, their breath, their spirit blows away their footprints in the sand.
That is incredibly practical, but also deeply sad.
It serves a purpose. It separates the living from the dead. If the footprints remained, it would seem as if the person were still walking among them, haunting the living. The wind erases the physical trace so the spirit can move on.
So we've talked about the Ainu sending spirits home and the sand traveling to the spirit world to milk rain cows. Both of these rely on a specific type of person, someone who can bridge the gap.
The shaman.
Let's unpack the shaman's journey. We're moving up north now to the Arctic to look at the Sami of Scandinavia and the Inuit of Canada.
First, we should probably define what a shaman actually is, because the word gets thrown around a lot in pop culture. People think of crystal healing and, weekend workshops in OJ.
I'm feeling very shamanic today.
Tuckles. Exactly. In these primal beliefs, a shaman or noedi in the Sami culture isn't a lifestyle choice. It's a burden.
A burden.
They are an intermediary. They're the diplomat, the doctor, and the problem solver who travels to other worlds to bargain for the community.
And it sounds like a terrifying job.
It is fraught with danger. Among the Sami, the tools of the trade were intense. They used a rune drum to induce trance through rhythm, but they also used physical deprivation.
The source mentioned working naked in the Arctic.
Yes. Exposure to extreme cold was a way to force the mind into an altered state. You push the body to the brink of death to let the soul loose.
Wow.
They also consumed the fly agaric mushroom, Amanita muscaria.
That's the red one with white dots, the classic fairy tale toadstool.
The very same. It is highly hallucinogenic and also toxic. So imagine you're freezing, you're rhythmically drumming, and you are under the influence of a potent psychedelic. You are going to go on a trip.
But the trip isn't just, whoa, look at the colors, it's, I might not come back.
Exactly. The soul leaves the body. The body lies there like a corpse, guarded by the community. If the soul gets lost in the spirit world, the shaman dies.
There was that specific story, the shaman who got stuck in the coil of the pike's intestine.
Yes. This story illustrates the specificity of the spirit world. A shaman had traveled to the spirit world, and his guardian, the person who was supposed to wake him up with a magic word, forgot the word.
Talk about a workplace accident.
The ultimate negligence. The shaman was lost for 3 years. The source says he was stuck in the third dark corner of a pike's intestine.
A pike like the fish.
Yes. The spirit world isn't just a vague light, it has geography. It has giant fish, tight corners, traps. When the guardian finally remembered the word, the shaman woke up.
He was not happy.
He was furious. He cursed the guardian immediately.
I would too. You left me in a fish gut for 3 years. But it really shows that this is a landscape you can get lost in.
It is a map. And for the Inuit in the Canadian Arctic, that map goes down, deep down into the ocean.
The story of Sedna, or Nuluyuk.
The sea goddess. She is probably one of the most tragic and frightening figures in mythology.
She lives at the bottom of the ocean.
She controls the seals, the walruses, the whales. And in the Arctic, those animals are life. If you don't catch seals, you die of starvation or you freeze to death.
It's that simple.
So when the hunting is bad, the Inuit believe it's because Sedna is angry.
Why does she get angry?
Because of human sin. Breaking taboos, disrespecting nature, social conflict. The belief is that these sins physically materialize as dirt or tangles in Sedna's hair.
And here is the heartbreaking detail. She can't clean it herself.
No. In the myth, her fingers were cut off. That was the tragedy that sent her to the bottom of the ocean. So she has no hands. As the sins of humanity pile up, her hair gets matted, tangled, and dirty. She is in pain. So she holds back the seals.
The village starves, and the shaman has to go down there.
The shaman enters a trance, travels to the bottom of the ocean, avoids her guard dog, and negotiates the dangerous entrance to her home. And his job isn't to fight her. It isn't to steal the seal.
It's to groom her.
It is an act of intimate care. The shaman gently combs her hair. He untangles the knots of human sin. He soothes her, and when she feels better, she releases the seals, and the village can eat.
That is such a tender image for such a harsh environment. The act of saving the village isn't slaying a dragon, it's combing hair.
It's an act of service.
Yeah.
Once she is soothed, life continues. Again, it's all about reciprocity.
Yeah.
You have to give care to receive life.
So we've looked at the sky and the sea. Now let's look at the land itself. We're heading to Australia and India.
The Australian Aboriginal concept of the dreaming is perhaps one of the most misunderstood concepts in all of religion.
Yeah, often people think dream time means the past, like once upon a time in the dream time.
Correct, and that is a translation error. A better translation is the dreaming, or my favorite, the eternal now.
The eternal now. Unpack that, because my brain wants to put things on a timeline.
Think of it like this. In the Western view, creation was an event. God made the world, then stopped.
Yeah.
It's done. In the Aboriginal view, creation is a state of being. It is ongoing. The ancestral beings who shaped the world aren't dead and gone. They are still present in the land, maintaining it right now.
This is where songlines come in.
Yes. The ancestors traveled across the continent, singing the world into existence. A hill, a creek, a rock formation. These aren't just geological features. They are the physical bodies or the tracks of those ancestors.
So if you destroy a hill, say, to build a highway.
You aren't just moving dirt. You're injuring an ancestor. You are erasing a chapter of the Holy Book. You are destroying the statue of the god. The land is the scripture.
And Uluru, that massive red rock in the center of Australia, is central to this.
It is considered the navel of the world. It is the storehouse of Jang spiritual power. All the songlines intersect there. It is the battery that powers the continent's spirituality.
It's fascinating how similar this is to the Baiga tribe in India.
The Baiga are a tribal people in central India who view themselves as the guardians of the earth. And they have a delightful, if slightly bizarre, creation myth.
Chapati earths.
Yes. They believe the creator made the earth flat like a chapati of flatbread, but it was unstable, flapping around in the wind.
I can picture that.
So he pinned it down with nails at the four corners.
And their job is to keep those nails in place.
Essentially, yes, to keep the earth stable. But this leads to a very controversial practice. Historically, the Baiga refused to use the plow.
Now wait. Farming usually requires a plow. The British colonizers must have hated that.
The British despised it. They wanted the Baiga to be productive farmers. But the Baiga said, we cannot use a plow because it tears the flesh of Mother Earth.
That is a visceral image, tearing the flesh.
Instead, they used slash-and-burn agriculture, which they felt was gentler, like a haircut rather than surgery. They believed they were created specifically to guard the forest, not to exploit it.
It's a recurring theme, humans as caretakers, not owners. But even caretakers die. And that brings us to the big question, why? Why do we have to die?
Every religion has to answer this question. Primal beliefs often view death not as a natural biological breakdown, but as a mistake, or a choice, a tragedy.
The Maori of New Zealand have a very dramatic story about this. It feels like a Greek tragedy.
It is Shakespearean. It starts with Tane, the forest god. He shapes a woman from mud because he wants a wife. They have a daughter. And then, in a twist that is very common in mythology but disturbing to us, Tane marries the daughter.
Okay, that's a problematic start.
The daughter, whose name is Hainatitama, doesn't know Tane as her father. When she finds out the truth, she is overcome with shame. She flees. She runs out to the underworld and becomes Hinui Tepo, the goddess of death.
She basically says, I'm taking my ball and going home, and I'm taking all the humans with me.
She tells Tane, you stay in the world of light and raise our children. I will go to the world of darkness and drag them down. So death is created out of shame and tragedy.
But then comes Maui, the trickster hero. He thinks he can fix it.
Maui is the great cultural hero of Polynesia. He decides he can conquer death. He plans to crawl into the goddess's body while she is sleeping, through the birth canal. He is trying to reverse the process of birth. If he can pass through her body and come out the mouth, he believes he will reverse death and make humans immortal.
It's a bold Freud nightmare of a plan.
It is. But he takes a little bird with him, a fantail. And the bird finds the sight of Maui crawling into the goddess. Funny, the bird laughs.
And the goddess wakes up.
She wakes up, realizes what is happening, and she crushes Maui between her thighs.
Oh.
And that was it. Maui failed. Death remained. It explains that mortality is permanent. You cannot trick your way out of it.
But in other cultures, the dead aren't gone. They are still hungry. Let's talk about the Andes.
The Quechua and Inca peoples of the Andes have a cult of the dead that is quite literal. They believe the ancestors were still part of the community.
This is where we get the mummies.
Yes. The Ailu, or community, would keep the mummies of their ancestors. And they wouldn't just leave them in a crypt. They would bring them out. They would parade them around the fields during planting season.
Imagine that today. Hey, get Grandpa out of the closet. We need to plant the corn.
It emphasizes that the line between living and dead is social, not just biological. Grandpa is still a member of the tribe. He just looks a little different now.
And he needs to be fed.
Yes. The earth and the ancestors are hungry. The ritual involves offering fat and blood.
Fat and blood. Why those specifically?
They represent energy, life force. The environment in the Andes is harsh. It's high altitude, it's cold. Survival is hard.
Right.
The earth gives you potatoes, it gives you llamas. In return, you must give back the essence of life. If we feed the ancestors, they will feed us.
It's that reciprocity again. It's everywhere.
There is a specific group, the Cayeta people, who believe the mountain itself is a human body. The grass is the hair, the caves are the mouth, the rivers are the blood. So when you offer blood to the earth, you are literally giving the mountain a transfusion.
That connects perfectly to our final section. We've talked about spirits, nature, death. But how does this affect how you treat your neighbor? Let's talk about morality.
Primal morality is often very pragmatic. It's about survival.
Take the Chewang of Malaysia.
A fascinating group. They're pacifists. Their language doesn't even have words for war, fight, or crime.
Can you imagine not even having the concept of war? That sounds impossible.
But they do have a concept of sin, and their ultimate sin is maro.
And what is maro? Murder? Theft?
No. Maro is the crime of eating alone.
Eating alone? That's something I do at my desk every day. I'm a sinner.
Chuckles. To the Chewang, that is a spiritual crime. Think about their context. In a small tribe in the rainforest, sharing food is the only way the group survives. If you hoard food, you endanger everyone.
So they made it a supernatural rule.
Yes. If you eat alone, you invite maro. You invite attack by tigers, snakes, or scorpions. The environment will punish you for your selfishness.
It's brilliant social engineering. Share your sandwich, or a tiger will eat you.
It works. It creates a society of intense cooperation.
Then you have the Warao in Venezuela. They live in the Orinoco Delta, which is basically a world of water.
Right. To them, the earth is just a thin crust floating between water and sky. And the tides, that's the breeding of a giant snake, the snake of being, coiled around the earth.
And their version of sharing involves tobacco.
Yes. The Warao feed the gods tobacco smoke. It's the medium of exchange. Humans provide the smoke. Gods keep the humans healthy. It's a lifelong bond. A child's first cry is said to be answered by the god of origin. From birth, you are in a conversation with the spirits.
But sometimes that conversation gets dark. We have to mention the Aztecs.
We do. The Aztecs and Mayans are often demonized for human sacrifice. And while it was violent, we have to understand the theology. It wasn't just cruelty, it was, again, reciprocity.
A much darker version of the Ainu bear ritual.
Exactly. The Aztec belief was that the gods sacrificed their own blood to create the universe. They tore themselves apart to make the sun and the earth.
So they sent us the bill.
Yes. The sun literally requires human blood to keep moving across the sky. If the sacrifice stops, the sun stops.
Yeah.
The universe dies. Everything goes black.
So to them, the sacrifice wasn't murder. It was an act of saving the world.
In their eyes, yes. It was a terrifying burden. We have to feed the system, or the system collapses.
Okay, let's unpack this whole deep dive. We've been all over the world. We've seen bear gods, rain cows, flatbread earths, and hair-combing rituals. What is the common thread here?
I think the common thread is connection.
Connection.
In every single one of these examples, the human being is not an observer. We aren't standing outside the glass looking at nature. We are in the mix.
Right. Whether you are feeding a mummy fat, or sharing your dinner to avoid a tiger, or arguing with a fire goddess, you are negotiating.
You are entangled. These primal beliefs are sophisticated systems for managing anxiety. The world is scary. It's unpredictable. But if the rain is a cow, I can learn to milk it. If the bear is a guest, I can learn to host him. It gives humans agency.
And it enforces social cooperation. You can't be a jerk in the Chuang tribe because you'll get eaten by a snake. You can't disrespect the seals in the Arctic because the goddess will starve the village.
It creates a sense of responsibility, not just to people, but to the environment. The Baiga won't plow the earth because it hurts her. The Aborigines won't destroy a hill because it's their ancestor.
Which brings us to the big question for you, the listener.
Yes, this is what I want everyone to consider.
In our modern world, we have largely stopped feeding the gods. We definitely don't argue with trees. We view the world as dead matter resources to be used, mined, plowed, and sold.
We have gained immense control. We have technology, medicine, industry. We are safe from the tigers.
But looking at these primal beliefs, have we gained control or have we just lost the conversation?
When you stop seeing the world as alive, you stop treating it with respect. You stop feeling like a guest and start acting like an owner. And as any Ainu elder would tell you, if the guest acts badly,
the gifts stop coming.
Exactly.
Something to think about the next time you look at a rainstorm. Is it just pressure? Or is it a cow waiting to be milked? Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.